Welcome to Monogamy Disrupted. I'm your hostess, Naughtia Black.
And I'm your host, Maleek Black.
So grab a drink, slide on into our VIP booth, and let your inhibitions run wild. Hello, sexy people, and welcome back to another episode of Monogamy Disrupted. This is our second episode called The First Encounter, and tonight we are going to talk about the good, the bad, the sexy, and the painful first experience that we had in our non-monogamous relationship.
And on the previous episode, we talked about our decision to open up our marriage, entering into the poly lifestyle, and what that really looked like. If you have not already downloaded that episode, please feel free to go back and download it. That's a really good one. It's a prerequisite to what we're getting ready to talk about.
Yeah, so before we jump into tonight's episode, Maleek, what's in your glass?
All right, I'm drinking a Dasani water and a vanilla porter. It is very tasty. And you?
I definitely have to stay hydrated, so I'm also drinking a vanilla porter. It's very good. We like porters and stouts. We like the dark beers. So cheers to a great episode.
Cheers.
All right, so our first encounter into the lifestyle was very interesting and did not go at all like we expected. So our first encounter was a man, first of all, which if you know from the last episode, we talked about how the kind of what got us thinking about it was getting a girlfriend, but then Maleek had, and myself included, had fantasies about other, bringing in another man. For me, my policy is I like dick. The more dick, the merrier. So he was a man, an attractive black man in our area, and who was really into sub-dom play, which is my thing, which you'll get to know more about a little bit more tonight, and then as you listen more to us in the next, the coming weeks and months. So my thing is definitely, I love to be fully submissive to like a big, strong man, and that was definitely his thing. So that was our first encounter into the lifestyle.
Yeah, and this is a guy you had met on the app Field, Feeld, app that I had heard about on a previous or a different podcast, and it was really cool. So you had met him, chatted up with him, you had a really good conversation with him, and you came to me and said, this is someone I'm definitely interested in. Is this an opportunity where we can all meet up? And I said, yeah, absolutely. I think this is a really good idea.
Yeah, so we all three met up with the intention of we'd all three play together, but then something unexpected happened when we met up.
Yeah, so we had a really great conversation at this restaurant. We all seen the vibe very, very well, and it was really good. And at one point, he had went to the bathroom. And when he went to the bathroom, we had an opportunity, Naughtia and I, to really talk about, okay, is this a guy that you're interested in? She said, yeah. I said, okay, good. Is this someone that you'd want to have sex with? She said, yeah. I said, okay, cool. I said, should we look at getting a hotel? What do we want to do? Figuring out all the blah, blah, blah. And we said, okay, yeah, let's see if this is something he would be interested in. So he had came back from using the restroom. He had sat down, and at this point, you really took some initiative.
Yeah, so I definitely took over, like, moving all of this forward, and I just basically said, hey, do you want to take this party elsewhere? And he was kind of like, what do you have in mind? And I was like, do you want to go and all of us, like, have sex together? And he said something that was very telling, I guess. I don't know. So what did he say?
He was black. I'm black, and he basically said at one point that we all connected so well that he felt like he was hanging out with one of the homies being me, and it was really cool because we did talk about sports and politics and life and living in the Southwest, and it was really cool to be able to connect with another black man in the area that we lived in, and he just said, I really don't like to play with people that I consider to be family or friends.
Yeah, so he basically was like, I'm not going to run train with my homie. But he did say that he was interested in solo play with me. So he made that very clear. Like, I would definitely, like, get down with her, but not all together. So that left Maleek and I in a very interesting situation because we had not talked about the idea of playing separately at all. It just did not pop into my mind. I don't think it popped into his. It just wasn't something we really thought about. And so we had another decision to make of, like, are we okay with each other playing separately, especially since we hadn't first played together?
Yeah, and as we're all sitting there at this table, the conversation got semi-serious, and I said, at this moment in time, it's just not something I'm interested in. We're going to go home and talk a little bit about it. Things turned sort of kind of sexy after that point. We had all stepped out of the restaurant, and I was getting ready to use the restroom, and I said, "Oh, do you kiss on the first date?" And so you and him started kissing. I was actually kind of hot. I got off on that, I'm not going to lie. We went home. We fucked. That was amazing. You gave me a blowjob in the car. But we talked a little bit more the next day about...
I like that we're just going to skip over the blowjob and the fucking. There'll be more of that later. Don't worry.
But we wanted to really talk... I wanted to really talk about if this was something that I think I would be comfortable with, having you just do solo play with this guy.
Yeah, so then right before we went to bed, I kind of said, so is that something that you would be okay with? Mm-hmm. And you said...
It's not something I'm not okay with, is exactly what I said.
And so in my brain, I heard, yeah, girl, go get it. And I did. So I started reaching out to this guy, Dion, about maybe meeting up tomorrow night and having some playtime. This was our first... not just breakdown in communication, but just like absolute like exploding of communication. It detonated. It was so bad. And obviously I'll take fault here. I was not great on the communication side here with all this. And I didn't actually tell Maleek that I was trying to set something up because it just didn't really dawn on me to mention that. Although looking back, that was duh. Of course I should have. So Dion and I are basically setting up a time to meet, how that would look, what we would want to do, all that stuff. And I, being the asshole that I am, apparently just kept Maleek completely in the dark about all this until we were at a friend's house and Maleek saw a text on my phone.
Right, and it wasn't anything of an alarming text, but I just saw that you two were communicating, and it from this little bit of text that I saw that you two were going to meet up that same night, and we're at a vanilla friend's house. So I go to the bathroom and I text you, like, what the fuck is going on here? And we kind of talked it out via text message at this vanilla friend's house, like what you really wanted to do. And long story short, we got to a point where we ended up back in our car. We ended up talking a little bit more on the way home. And I said, this is a really good opportunity. This is a person that you really enjoy. I feel comfortable having you go alone to this person's house. I think you should do this, because he was also getting ready to move away in about a week or two.
In a week.
And I said, I know.
And we were getting ready to go on vacation the next day.
Mm-hmm. And I know my wife likes to be dominated in a way that is outside of our marriage. I said, all right, go ahead and do it.
So then we ended up meeting that night, and that's what I'm about to tell you all about. So let's get comfortable. I'm going to tell you exactly how it went down, all the sexy details, and the not so sexy details, some of them, and the major oh shit moment that I had 3 minutes into this encounter. So grab your drink. Let's get sexy. So I get to Dion's house, and he's in the process of moving. So there's just boxes and stuff everywhere. And we'd kind of talked about that before. He's like, my house is a disaster. It looks like a warehouse in here. I was like, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Let's just do this anyway. So I get there, and his house is a disaster. And he had just been moving all day, so he was sweaty and stinky and needed to take a shower. And he comes down the stairs, and he's just got his towel on. And I was like sitting on the bed, He comes down the stairs and he comes and sits on the bed and he's like, stand up. And I stood up. And so I want to just pause here and let you know that before we met up, we had been talking about all the things that, you know, we thought this would look like and what we enjoy and how we both saw this playing out. And, you know, making sure we were both comfortable with everything that was going to happen. So we didn't just like dive into an S&M scene without any conversation. So you know, that's how it's going to seem. We definitely both were on the same page, consent and all that stuff. Like we'll talk about in the next episode, made sure both of us consented to what was going to happen, all that good stuff. So he tells me to stand up and I stand up and he looks at me and says, take off your clothes. And I freaked out. Like internally, I'm having a mild panic attack because my slutty self just came to the realization that, oh my God, I'm about to get naked in front of somebody, another man, for the first time in 9 years. So the only other non-familial human who has ever seen me naked in the last 9 years was my husband. And here I am standing in front of somebody who is not my husband telling me to get naked. And I just like internally had a meltdown. I started thinking about all the, you know, like all this parts of my body that I was like, oh, I don't love this about me. So what you should probably know in this moment is over the last year, I lost 50 pounds. So my body's changed. 2 years ago, I had a baby. Everything is like in different places than it was, 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm just standing there like, I can't do this. Like, I can't. So I look into him, I said, I need you to turn off the lights. And I am generally like a pretty confident person. And in that moment, my confidence level went to like a 2. And I exude self-love and, body confidence and all this stuff in my day-to-day. And then here I was faced with this proposition of getting naked in front of somebody in full lights. It wasn't even like sexy light. It was just like full on overhead lighting. And I was like, I can't do this. And so I asked him, I was like, can you please turn off the light? He was like, why would I do that? I was like, just please turn off the light. And so he did, which is really interesting because he wears glasses and he had taken off the glasses. So he couldn't actually really see all that well once the light was off, which was great because then I was like, okay, he can't actually see all of me. He can't really see me. So I can be comfortable with this. So then I kind of started to like less freak out. So basically he said, take off your clothes, fold them and put them in the corner. All right, it's going to get sexier from here. No more body freak out. So take off your clothes, fold them, put them in the corner. So slowly I took off my shirt. I'm all sexy like. Pulled it over my head, folded it, put it down in the corner, unsnapped my bra, took it off, folded it, put it in the corner. Started taking off my pants, slowly down my leg, and I folded them, and he said, that's not right. Fold them again. And so I refolded them and put them on the floor, and at that moment, I knew that I was in the right hands with the right person who actually knew what they were doing and that this was going to be a really fun evening. And so he said, get on the bed, get on your hands and knees. And I got on my hands and knees and he said, don't move. And my little slutty heart just pitter-pattered with excitement and anticipation. And I just knew the joy and the pain and the everything that was about to come. So he left the room with me on the bed, hands and knees, and he went to go get some rope and a belt. So he comes back, ties up my hands behind my back, puts his hand over my face and puts my head down on the bed, ass in the air, pulls, so he's got my hands behind my back, and he's got this belt in his hand. First smack. It wasn't that hard, but hard enough. This was the first time I'd had a belt on my ass in 9 years. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can take this. Like, that really hurts. But oh my God, it felt so good. And so just smack, 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 smack with the belt. And he smacked it over my pussy. And I just thought, oh my God, I just don't know. I think I might have to like stop. Like, this really hurts. But then I just sunk deeper into my submission and said, it hurts and it feels so good. And this is exactly where I want to be right now. And I just let him just smack away on my ass. And then after he was done, beautiful little welts and fully red ass, he grabbed me and threw me on my back and, grabbed a Hitachi wand, which those are magic. If you haven't tried one, you have to. Held me down by my throat and with the wand, just put it right up against my clit and he said, do not come. Do not scream. Just take it. And I'm like squirming and wiggling and just almost over the moon with excitement, but I dare not come because I did not want the punishment that would come with that. I mean, I did want the punishment that would come with that, but I didn't want it. I wanted to be a good little girl. So he just had the wand against me and then finally took it away and then pulled me back on my hands and knees, forced his dick down my throat, sucked on his dick, and just kept like shoving it deeper down my throat. And then he put me back on my back, hand around my throat. Same thing with the wand, forced me to the point of almost coming. And I was like, I don't know if I can hold this. Like, it feels so good. He takes the wand away, back on my hands and knees, like just dick, just like all down my throat, like choking, gagging. And then, he goes and he puts me on my hands and knees again, grabs the belt. We go back to just smack, smack, smack. And as I'm sitting there with my hands and knees, head against the bed, I went into that state of like submissive bliss where you just know that somebody else is in control and all that I'm supposed to be doing is just submitting to the pleasure of the moment. And so finally he like comes and I orgasmed, and it was just this moment of, can't even describe it. It was just so good of a moment to be like, this was the pleasure and the pain and just being submitting fully to somebody was just so intoxicating almost. And the thing that he said was, you are really strong, submissive, and that's what makes a really good submissive. And I just kind of gave myself a pat on the back because it was the first time in a long time to really experience that to that level of intensity. And then we cuddled a little bit, which I'm not really a cuddler, so it was more like we laid on the bed and talked. And then this is the best part about all of it was, I was like, okay, we're both tired. I'm going to just put my clothes on and go. There was no awkwardness. It was like we both knew what we were there for. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. We were done. He walked me down to my car and I left. And then I got home. You and I had sex. And that was kind of the end of the day.
Well, this was a really good episode. Thank you all for listening in. Be sure to listen to our next episode and download our first episode if you haven't had the opportunity to listen to it.
But before you go, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Monogamy Disrupt. So that's Monogamy Disrupt. So the name of this podcast is Monogamy Disrupted, but fucking Twitter doesn't give you that many characters for your name. So it's Monogamy Disrupt. So be sure to follow us, get all the sexy behind the scenes photos and details and all the juicy insider secrets of our dates and encounters and all that fun stuff, and we'll definitely be excited to connect with you there. So follow us on Twitter. Again, that's Monogamy Disrupt.
Now that you're in the booth with us, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and download the next episode. It's waiting for you. And if you like what you heard, and I know you did, hit us with a 5-star review on iTunes.
And so thank you so much for sliding into the booth with us. We've enjoyed having you here, and we cannot wait to see you in the next episode.